Ruby's Wild Ride. It was a bright, breezy morning in Whiskerwood Forest, and Ruby Rabbit had an idea, one of her big ideas. "Benny," she called, hopping through the ferns toward her best friend's den, "I've got the perfect plan for today." Benny Bear looked up from his book, blinking sleepily. "Is it nap time? Because I had that planned already." "Nope," Ruby beamed. "It's go-kart day." Benny scratched his fuzzy head. "What's a go-kart?" Ruby's eyes sparkled. "Only the fastest, funnest invention you've ever ridden, and we're going to build one." Half an hour later, Ruby stood proudly next to a pile of gathered junk, 2 old wagon wheels, a couple of tree branches, a rusty frying pan, and Benny's favourite hammock. "Wait a second," Benny said, eyeing the familiar fabric. "Is that my hammock?" "It was just lying there doing nothing," Ruby said, already tying it between the branches. "Now it's going to be the seat of speed." Benny sighed. "Okay, but if this thing crashes, I want my hammock back." With teamwork and a lot of hopping and grunting, they finally assembled the go-kart. It looked wobbly. The wagon wheels were lopsided, the frying pan was stuck on the front for steering, and the whole thing creaked ominously. "I call it the Bunny Blaster 3000, Ruby declared. "Shouldn't we test it?" Benny asked. "That's the plan," Ruby grinned, climbing in. "Just a quick roll from the top of Acorn Hill." "Acorn Hill?" Benny's eyes widened. "That's pretty steep." But Ruby was already at the top, pulling her goggles down and waving. "Clear the path, Benny, full speed ahead." Before Benny could stop her, Ruby gave a mighty shove, and the Bunny Blaster 3000 sprang to life. At first, it rolled gently. "Whee!" Ruby cheered. Then it rolled faster. "Uh-oh," she muttered, gripping the frying pan tightly. Then it rocketed down the hill like a wild squirrel on espresso. "Kerr! Wah!" Ruby screamed, swerving past trees, over rocks, and through startled patches of dandelions. Leaves flew, squirrels ducked, and a family of turtles ran for cover. Benny gasped. "Ruby's gone turbo!" He grabbed his scooter, made from an old ironing board and 2 roller skates, and raced after her. "Hang on, Ruby!" Ruby was not hanging on. The Bunny Blaster bounced off a log, spun in the air, and landed in a mud puddle with a massive splat. "I should have installed brakes!" she shouted as the go-kart shot out of the puddle like a watermelon seed. She zipped through a blueberry patch, picking up speed and berries in every crevice. Benny huffed as he scooted behind her. "She's heading for Crinkle Creek!" Sure enough, Ruby screamed, "I'm heading for Crinkle Creek!" The go-kart hit a bump, caught air and soared briefly before landing in a splash right in the middle of the creek. The cart skidded, spun, and finally stopped. Ruby sat in the soaking hammock, dazed, dripping, and covered in blueberries. Benny rolled up just in time, panting. "Are you okay?" Ruby blinked. It was awesome." Benny laughed and helped her out. "You look like a flying blueberry pie." Ruby grinned. "Did you see the airtime I got over that log?" "I saw my hammock getting airborne, if that counts," Benny said, wringing out a corner of the soggy fabric. They dragged the soggy remains of the Bunny Blaster 3000 back up the hill. It had lost a wheel, the frying pan was bent, and the hammock, well, it had seen better days. Back at Benny's den, Ruby sketched ideas in the dirt with a stick. "If we reinforce the wheels and add a parachute..." Benny shook his head with a chuckle. "Next time, let's just build a tree swing." Ruby looked up. "Oh, but what if we rocket launch it from the tree top?" Benny groaned and flopped onto the grass. "I'm never getting my hammock back, am I?" Ruby winked. "Not unless you want the front row seat on Ruby's Wild Ride 2, Sky Edition." Benny smiled, already bracing himself for the next adventure. The Midnight Snack Heist. It started with the missing marshmallows. Benny Bear had stacked them neatly in the forest pantry, right beside the honey pots and a jar of Ruby Rabbit's raspberry jam. But when he returned the next morning, the marshmallows had vanished, without a crumb left behind. "Hibernation, help me!" Benny gasped, his big furry paws patting around the empty shelf. They're gone. Ruby Rabbit, quick-footed and even quicker-witted, twitched her nose when she arrived. That's the third snack this week, she said, thumping one foot. First my carrot crackers, then your honey oats, and now marshmallows? This is no coincidence. It's a heist, Benny said with a dramatic whisper. A midnight snack heist. The two friends sat down on a mossy log outside the pantry and brainstormed. The forest pantry was a communal nook where all the animals stored their favourite treats for shared feasts and forest parties. It was nestled inside a hollow tree, sealed with a clever latch made from vines. No one was allowed in at night. Everyone knew that. Well, Ruby said, rubbing her chin, if the thief strikes at midnight, then we'll have to be awake at midnight. Benny's eyes grew wide. But I go to bed at 8. Any later and I start sleep mumbling. Ruby chuckled. That's perfect. We'll use your sleep mumbling to distract the thief while we trap them. So the trap was set. That evening, Benny pretended to snore loudly outside the forest pantry, wrapped in a blanket made of leaves. Ruby, hidden in a bush nearby, balanced a bucket of sticky berry jam above the pantry door. A loose vine connected the bucket to the latch. When opened, the thief would get a very gooey surprise. And just in case they run, Ruby whispered, placing banana peels behind the tree, we make their escape a little, slippery. Midnight struck. The forest was quiet save for Benny's theatrical snores. Oh, don't take my marshmallows. They're so squishy, he mumbled, tossing in his leafy blanket. His snoring turned into murmured babble. So many crackers, crunchy carrots, honey dreams. Then a creak. Ruby held her breath. The pantry latch wiggled, then slowly, silently, the door began to open. Splat! The jam bucket emptied right on top of a small figure's head. Ah, it's cold and sticky, cried a voice. Ruby leapt from the bush. Gotcha! The jam-covered thief stumbled backward right onto the banana peels. Whump! The forest echoed with giggles as the thief slid and tumbled into a pile of soft moss. Benny sat up, blinking. Did we get him? We got him, Ruby grinned. The figure sat up, sticky and embarrassed. It was Squeaky Squirrel, the tiniest and speediest critter in the forest. Squeaky, Benny gasped. Why would you steal snacks? Squeaky's cheeks burned red under the jam. I didn't mean to steal. I get the midnight munchies, and the pantry always has the best snacks. But Squeaky, Ruby said gently, the forest pantry is for everyone. You could have asked. I know, Squeaky said, tail drooping. I was just afraid you'd say no. Benny offered a paw. You're our friend. You don't need to sneak around. Ruby nodded. But if you do need midnight snacks, let's make a plan. A little basket just for you with healthy treats. No more honey jars at 2 a.m. Squeaky grinned. Even jam? Only if you don't wear it next time, Ruby winked. The next day, the forest animals gathered to hear the tale of the midnight snack heist. There was laughter, applause, and even a reenactment, with Benny wearing a bucket on his head and Ruby pretending to slip on a banana peel. From that night on, the forest pantry had a sign. No sneaking, midnight snacks available by request. See Ruby or Benny. And every once in a while, when the moon was high and the stars twinkled just right, you could hear soft munching in the forest. But this time, it came from a tiny squirrel, sitting politely with a napkin, and not a speck of jam in sight. Chew. The Forest Olympics. Deep in the heart of Maplewood Forest, excitement buzzed through the trees like a summer breeze. Benny Bear and Ruby Rabbit, the forest's most enthusiastic duo, had come up with a brilliant idea, a mini-Olympics for all the woodland creatures. It'll be fun, Benny roared with a grin. Races, jumps, games, and, oh, snacks, Ruby twitched her nose thoughtfully. Only if there's carrot juice for hydration. They posted paw-drawn posters all around the forest. The first ever Forest Olympics. Everyone welcome. Bring your game face. And maybe a leaf hat? Soon the big day arrived. Animals from every corner of the forest gathered in the clearing, eyes sparkling with anticipation. A starting line was drawn with berry juice, and logs were arranged for seating. Even a podium made from stacked mushroom stools stood proudly at the edge. The first event, the 100-hop dash. Ruby lined up against a field of eager competitors, frogs, kangaroos, and an overconfident chipmunk named Darty. "Ready, set, go!" Benny shouted, banging 2 pine cones together. Ruby took off like lightning, but Darty tripped over a pine needle and rolled into the crowd. The frogs bounced in perfect rhythm, until one got distracted by a fly and hopped off, of course. Ruby won by a whisker and landed in a patch of daisies, triumphant. Next up, the high jump. "Step aside," muttered Terry Turtle, adjusting his goggles. "Yes, goggles. I have been practicing." The crowd gasped as Terry approached the log bar. Slowly, ever so slowly, he waddled forward, took a breath, and stopped. Then, with a dramatic oomph, he nudged his shell up and over, or at least tried to. The bar didn't move, but Terry slid underneath it, looked around, and raised a triumphant flipper. "Technically," said Owl the referee, "he cleared it under." The crowd erupted in laughter. The squirrels, who had formed a spontaneous cheer squad complete with twigs for pom-poms, chanted, "Let's go, turtles! Slide and swirl, you're the best in all the world." Benny couldn't stop chuckling. "That's the spirit!" The long jump brought more surprises. A raccoon misjudged the launch and landed in the lemonade stand, earning a sticky medal for sweetest landing. Meanwhile, a shy porcupine named Penny stunned everyone by leaping farther than a fox. "I just imagined I was running away from awkward conversations," she said, blushing. For the relay race, teams were chosen at random. Benny was teamed with a sleepy hedgehog, a duck with a limp, and a hyperactive ferret named Zippy. The race began with chaos. The hedgehog forgot which direction to go, the duck waddled in zigzags, and Zippy ran 3 extra laps before realizing he'd already passed the baton twice. Still, they finished with flair, especially when Zippy did a backflip and landed in a nest. Meanwhile, the squirrels, high on acorn smoothies, chanted louder than ever, "Run like the wind, leap like a frog, win this race and eat a log." They were a little too excited. Then came the final event, the freestyle fun competition. No rules, just show off your best move. A deer performed a graceful twirl. A mole popped out of the ground juggling pebbles. Ruby breakdanced with her ears and Benny tried to balance a beehive on his head. That last act ended with a very fast sprint into the river, followed by bees and laughter. Afterward, everyone gathered around the podium, sticky, tired, and grinning. "And the gold medal for teamwork," Benny announced, "goes to everyone." Cheers erupted. The squirrels accidentally dropped their twig pom-poms in the berry punch, but no one minded. But as the sun dipped below the treetops, the forest rang with laughter and music, courtesy of a raccoon on leaf banjo. The first Forest Olympics had been a wild, wacky success. Ruby nudged Benny and said, "Same time next year." "Absolutely," Benny grinned. "But next time, let's put turtles in charge of yoga." And with that, the animals danced under the stars, already dreaming of the next round of friendly mayhem. The Great Forest Cleanup Race. One sunny spring morning in Maplewood Forest, Ruby Rabbit was hopping along the riverbank, enjoying the warm breeze and chirping birds. But her cheerful mood quickly faded as she spotted candy wrappers tangled in the grass, soda cans floating in the stream, and plastic bags caught in the bushes. "This is terrible," Ruby exclaimed, stamping her foot. "Our forest is too beautiful to be covered in trash." Just then, Benny Bear lumbered up the path, munching on a honey sandwich. "Morning, Ruby," he greeted, waving a big paw. "What's got you frowning?" Ruby pointed to the mess. "Look at all this litter, Benny. We need to do something about it." Benny scratched his head. "You're right. but cleaning the whole forest sounds like a big job. Ruby's eyes sparkled with a clever idea. Let's make it fun. I challenge you to a race. Whoever picks up the most litter by sunset wins. Benny's ears perked up. A clean-up race? You're on, he grinned. But don't cry when I beat you, Ruby. Ruby laughed. We'll see about that, big guy. They set the rules. No running into each other's clean-up zones, no hiding trash to win, and the winner would get bragging rights and a crown made from forest flowers. Word of the challenge spread like wildfire. Squeaky the squirrel scurried through the trees announcing, Ruby and Benny are having a clean-up race. Come watch, or better yet, join in. By noon, the forest was buzzing with excitement. Animals big and small showed up with gloves, bags, and brooms. Can we help too? Asked Tilly the turtle, wearing a tiny sun hat. Of course, Ruby beamed. The more paws and claws, the better. Even though it started as a race between two, it quickly turned into a forest-wide event. Benny led a group through the berry patch, picking up bottles and wrappers. Let's work together, team. We're doing great. Meanwhile, Ruby and her crew cleaned the riverbank, rescuing tangled ducks and scooping up old fishing lines. Great job, everyone, Ruby cheered. Keep those paws moving. The young chipmunks turned clean-up into a game, sliding down hills with trash bags like toboggans. The owls flew overhead, spotting hidden litter from the treetops and calling out directions. Even Grumpy Badger joined in, muttering, If it'll stop the noise and mess, I might as well help. As the sun began to dip behind the trees, the piles of trash grew taller, and the forest began to look like its old self again. Clean, green, and full of life. At sunset, Ruby and Benny met in the clearing where they'd first started. Around them stood dozens of forest animals, tired but smiling. Well? Benny asked, wiping his brow. Who won? Ruby looked at the mountains of trash bags and then at all the happy, dirty, hard-working friends gathered around. She smiled. I think we all did. The crowd cheered. Squeaky climbed up a stump. By the power vested in me as the official announcer of the forest, I declare this race a tie. Everyone laughed as a double crown of wildflowers was placed on both Ruby and Benny's heads. From that day on, the animals of Maplewood Forest agreed to hold a great forest cleanup race every spring. It wasn't just about who could collect the most litter anymore. It was about teamwork, friendship, and keeping their home beautiful. And of course, Ruby and Benny never missed a single race. They still teased each other about who would win, but deep down, they both knew that when everyone pitched in, the whole forest won. Hey, Fee. The day everything went backward. Benny Bear stretched his furry paws and yawned as he rolled out of bed. Something felt off. For one, it was pitch dark outside, but the birds were chirping like it was morning. He blinked and rubbed his eyes, peering out the window of his cozy treehouse. Ruby, he called out to his best friend who lived in the burrow below. Are you awake? A moment later, Ruby Rabbit's ears popped up from the grass. Benny, why is the sun rising at night? I was about to ask you the same thing. Together they stared at the glowing orange sun climbing the star-filled sky. It hovered like a bright balloon, casting long shadows on the trees as owls hooted confusedly. Ruby twitched her nose. And do you hear that? Benny listened carefully. The usual morning forest melody, birds chirping, bees buzzing, was playing backward. The chirp sounded like EEP, EEP, instead of tweet, tweet. Something very strange is happening, Benny muttered. Let's check the clearing. They trotted to the forest clearing, but instead of squirrels gathering acorns, they saw them walking upside down on tree branches, their tails dragging above them. Morning, Benny. Morning, Ruby. One squirrel called out, smiling as he strolled along a branch with his paws on the bark and head dangling towards the sky. Why are you upside down? Ruby asked. I'm not upside down. You are, the squirrel giggled, tossing an acorn which floated gently upward instead of falling. Benny looked at Ruby. Either we're dreaming or the forest has gone completely bananas. Ruby sniffed again. Do you smell that? It's pancakes. They followed their noses to Mrs. Mole's diner where a line of animals was already gathered. Inside, the tables were filled with steaming plates. But instead of eggs and toast, the plates were stacked with spaghetti and meatballs. Welcome to breakfast. Tonight's special is breakfast for dinner for breakfast, Mrs. Mole said cheerily, wearing sunglasses inside and stirring soup with a shoe. Benny sat down slowly. Okay, this is officially the weirdest day ever. I agree, Ruby said, trying to pour orange juice from a salt shaker. It still somehow worked. After a very confusing meal, which ended with dessert first, they stepped outside and nearly tripped over a goat riding a unicycle backward. Excuse us, he said politely while riding in reverse. You're standing in the middle of tomorrow. Wait, what? Benny asked, but the goat had already pedalled away, backward of course. Ruby sat down and sighed. Everything is backward. Morning is night, up is down, dessert comes first. If this keeps going, who knows what will happen tomorrow? Benny thought hard. Maybe we're stuck in a backward day and we have to do something to flip it forward again. Like what? Well, Benny said, maybe we need to do things backward until the forest resets. Ruby brightened. Like walking backward? Exactly. And talking backwards. And uneating food. They both cringed. Maybe not that last one, Benny admitted. So they spent the rest of the day doing everything backward. They walked backward through the forest, said ole instead of hello, and even read books from the last page to the first. Benny sang the alphabet in reverse while Ruby hopped backward in circles. The forest animals stared at them like they were the weird ones. That evening, the morning, they returned to Benny's treehouse and flopped down, exhausted. Well, we tried, Ruby said, her ears drooping. Just then the sky shifted. The stars blinked out and the moon wobbled before slipping down below the trees. A golden glow spread across the horizon. Benny, Ruby whispered, is that the sun rising in the morning? The sun peeked up, brighter and warmer than before, birds chirped forward, squirrels walked upright, pancakes were served for breakfast. It worked, Benny shouted, bouncing up and down. Ruby grinned. We turned the forest forward again. As the day went on, everything returned to normal, well, as normal as a forest of talking animals could be. That night, Benny and Ruby sat under the stars watching fireflies dance. I kind of liked the backward day, Benny said. It made me see the world differently. Me too, Ruby agreed. But I like it better when dinner doesn't float away. They both laughed, and the forest settled into a peaceful right way up sleep.